And welcome back to the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. That's Tom Casale. I'm Chip Patterson, getting you set for an absolutely loaded day of college hoops. 13 automatic bids on the line here on Saturday. Some semifinals that will set up our final automatic bids for the NCAA tournament also on the slate. I'm sitting here, Tom, just loaded with everything that we've got. Before we take a look at the recap, just how are you feeling? What's our headspace like going into this championship week Saturday?
I feel good. Sorry, it's echoing in my ear.
No.
I feel good. Was up late, breaking down all the games and ready to go. Last big day before March Madness.
All right, let's take a look at the recap screen, see how we did yesterday. Buckets with the Paris soccer winners with Lyon and the Cologne Leipzig, both teams to score. Sia brings it home with Nebraska. That was something we talked about here on the show. We were looking to see whether Nebraska could get it done away from home because of their home road splits, and they thumped Indiana. Jason Day over Minwoo Lee takes an L. Illinois minus 4.5. Yeah, that was a 3-point win, but a neck and neck all. I don't feel like I got the wrong end of that. But very happy to see the Oregon team total under cash as we continue to see Thomas and Mack Arena be a very, very difficult place for the Pac-12 teams to find good shooting. And then the SportsLine site plays went 2 for 2. Western Kentucky getting it done in the Cayusa Conference Tournament. And then Bruce Brown under 22.5 point rebounds assists. I believe that was a proppy pick as well. So awesome to see it. A lot of green checks on that board. Let's just first, before we dive into some of our best bets for this Saturday, let's take a look at some of the big-time headliner championship matchups. First, we got Iowa State and Houston. Houston right now favored by 5.5. We've seen a little bit of movement in the Cougars' favor. The total has sunk like a rock, 121.5. This is a 6 p.m. tip-off from T-Mobile Arena in Kansas City. So, Tom, how are you attacking this one?
Well, I lean Iowa State. I don't have a play on this game. Both games were good this season. Physical. I think the total's a little bit low. I think both teams can get out and get some transition buckets in this game. 121. I don't know if this game's going to be played in the 50s. I think more of in the 60s, mid 60s. So I would lean the over here, but it's too many points for me. When you looked at these games this season, both were competitive. They match up very well with each other. It's like Houston and Houston Light. I give Houston the nod overall talent, but the way Iowa State plays is that same physical kind of basketball. So I would expect a game that goes down to the final minute.
Yeah, I love being able to take those points there. And when we're looking for those like very, very small margins on these super tight lines, Juwan Roberts is maybe the fourth best player for Houston. Like, you're not going to put him ahead of Shed. You're not going to put him ahead of Cryer. You're sort of in that argument, but certainly an important one. He leaves the game with a shin injury in Houston's win yesterday. You got to think that if there's any concern moving forward, you'd rather have him ready for your first NCAA tournament game. That would be another lean Iowa State's way. I'm with you, Tom. I think that I'm going to take Iowa State, especially now that we're getting this up to plus 5.5. From the Big 12, let's take it out to the Big East. UConn with their third matchup against Marquette, 9.5-point favorites, over under of 141.5. Now, UConn swept the regular season series. The first game, Marquette did have its star point guard Tyler Kolek, and UConn thumped them. The second game, they did not. And actually, it was closer than expected, 74-67. Marquette only losing by 7. No Kolek again here for the Golden Eagles. What do you make of trying to break this one down?
I thought if UConn was going to lose, it would have been yesterday to St. John's. I like the way St. John's is playing. I think they match up pretty well with UConn. It's hard to beat the Huskies, and it's harder to beat them when you don't have your best player. It's the guy who runs your offense. I can't lay 9.5 here. I would lean more towards the under if UConn gets a big lead. this is a tough one. I would like Marquette if they were fully healthy here in this third matchup, but without Kolek, because even if he does play, there was reports that he said, yeah, I'll suit up. I don't think he's going to play, but even if he does suit up, he's not going to be the same guy. So I'd stay away from the side here with the big number, and I'd look at the total. I lean under.
I like that underplay because sometimes not only do you have championship games where your legs are going to be a little bit light based on all the repetition, but also if we do have a scenario that plays out close to these odds makers, do you think that Danny Hurley, Shaka Smart, both coaches that want to make deep runs in the NCAA tournament, are they really going to try to draw this out? Or do you think that we'll sort of, play this to the end, stay competitive, maybe not as many fouls and foul shots, which of course are, always impactful for the total. Give me UConn though. I sense a coronation in Madison Square Garden because this is something that the Huskies are going to be looking to accomplish. This is something that the Huskies, still have like on their check boxes. When you're the reigning champs, a Big East tournament might not mean a lot, but to a program that values the Big East and its history so much that I could see them being able to try and just offer the hammer. Because I'm with you, like St. John's being super competitive, not surprising, but UConn just had answer after answer after answer. So I'll go ahead and I'll lay that. So if you want to take the under, if you want to drop it with UConn, well, hey, we got a killer deal for you over at BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you will receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's EDGE, EDGE. First wager of at least $10, you will receive $1,500 instantly in bonus bets if your bet loses. Well, that's just the first piece of the big games. We still got a look at the ACC, Pac-12 championship games, and our best picks. All that coming up next.
The blackout mystery remains.
Welcome to March Madness. You just never know in the tournament who is going to shine.
Stream March Madness live on any device, anywhere, and be ready for anything.
Back here on the Early Edge podcast presented by BetMGM. Let's turn to the evening action. Washington, D.C. is where we'll get Tobacco Road rivalry, but not the one that you might have thought when you filled out the ACC bracket at the beginning. North Carolina, yes, the 1 seed, they're there. But NC State, just the 5th double-digit seed to make it to the semifinals, and now they're advancing to the finals. They're the 10 seed in this tournament, and they are 9.5-point underdogs to the Tar Heels. 145.5 is the total. How do you see this one, Tom?
Yeah, this is a tough game to cap because of the 5 games in 5 days. This is something I'll probably look at to hit live or maybe second half. I think the emotion for NC State will still carry over in the first half, but I think sooner or later, North Carolina is going to pull away in this game. NC State, to me, would have had a chance to win this game if it wasn't North Carolina. Carolina has been by far the best team in the ACC all year. Plus, they got the big bodies, to go up against DJ Burns, who, I'm glad everyone's getting to see him. The big guy, I loved him all year. Football player playing basketball. You can't beat that, Chip. But I think at some point, Carolina is going to go on a run here. So the way I'm going to look to attack this is either an in-game or a second half Carolina bet. I do think, though, that NC State will hang around in this game for a while.
So the place where North Carolina's game against Pitt, a game that they trailed for most of the first half and then kind of flipped in the second half, came with them tapping back into the defensive side. I mean, it was just Armando Bacot just willing to take on guards and switch everything and then, creating problems. The way that it's so sound, they're so connected. Seth Trimble brings so much athleticism off the bench. Jalen Withers. I'm going to lean on that North Carolina defense here. Give me the NC State team total under 68.5. We're thinking about the legs. We're thinking about North Carolina's defense. If it's a runaway, then hopefully NC State's not getting over 68.5. But if it's close, I don't know if it's going to be high scoring and close, given 5 games in 5 days for the Wolfpack. So that's going to be my play there. I'm going to go with the NC State team total under 68.5. Then on to the Pac-12 championship, not our final conference championship of the night. That'll go all the way into the wee hours of the morning, but we are going to be out in Las Vegas, where Oregon, after stunning Arizona, now goes up against a Colorado team that had been living life on the bubble. I mean, they can make this easy if they just go out and win the daggum thing right now and get the automatic bid. They are narrow favorites over Oregon. What stands out to you about this one?
So I have a futures bet riding on Colorado here at plus 525. I'm going to let that roll tonight. Obviously, you got everything you wanted with Arizona getting knocked out by Oregon yesterday. So that worked out well for us. Oregon's a team I've had trouble figuring out, Chip, to be honest with you. I actually bet them at home the last time they played Colorado, and it's kind of a lackluster effort, and it's a team I expected to be better than this. So maybe they're catching fire at the right time. I think this is a pretty even game. I'm going to let my Colorado futures bet ride. I'm not going to hedge, but I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon pulls the upset tonight. They've been that kind of team this year where whenever you're down on them, they start to put a couple of wins together. And then it was a really impressive defensive effort against Arizona State. I would expect a lower scoring game, though. I think both of these teams have trended lower scoring recently. So 142.5, I could see an under here too.
Yeah, I under, absolutely. I've got a best bet on this game on the side coming up in just a little bit. But we've seen the scores out from the Pac-12 tournament, and that is not a favorable shooter's gym at all. And it has been very, very difficult to score, as we even saw from, that Oregon-Arizona final from last night. There is Oregon does have a big change. That's a tease. Oregon does have a big change to how they've been playing recently, and I think that's a big part of the way that I'm going to be handicapping this game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. So coming up on the other side, our best bets, including some late night picks. I've got one from the Pac-12. Tom's got one from the Mountain West. We'll get you set with your late night sweats next.
Two big boys getting ready to play. Big being the operative word here. And here they come.
All right, question from Scott in the chat. Would you go NC State first half? So that first half will probably be around like 4.5. I don't have it pulled up right now, but would you take the Pac in the first half?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I really think this is a live betting type of game. It's hard to handicap teams playing 5 games in 5 nights. We haven't seen it very often. NC State, they're relying on a couple of guys, right? So we're going to have to me, you want to watch and you want to see how much energy they have early on, right? With DJ Burns, who's a bigger guy who they take out a lot. So I think it's really important to kind of gauge this game in the first 10 minutes and see what I would lean NC State first half, but I don't know if I want to bet it. I'll be honest, out of all the games on the board, this is down the trough for the games I like. I just think it's a tough handicapping game. Right,
but not for entertainment. That's why I like the way that you're selling it as the this is your live, right. And you sit and you lock in. It's just there are so many variables here. High on entertainment, low on confidence. And you know what? There is nothing wrong with that kind of game here in March when you can get into it and find your money-making opportunities after they throw up the ball with the first tip. All right, Tom. So what is your confident play? What are you dialed in on here for championship week Saturday?
Yeah, I took New Mexico as a 2.5-point underdog against San Diego State. I like the way this Lobos team is playing right now, the energy they have. What I really like is how they're attacking the ball, because that's where San Diego State's weakness is. You don't want to get in half-court sets with San Diego State. You don't want them to slog that game down, make you use the shot clock. What we've seen here so far in New Mexico in the wins over Colorado State and Boise State is their defense leading to offense, and I think that's key for tonight's game. These two teams split the regular season, but the game that New Mexico won, they were able to force turnovers. San Diego State gets sloppy with the basketball. So I like New Mexico for what they're doing on the defensive end. Slight underdog. I think they win and get off the bubble and get in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, you mentioned it. It was 88-70 New Mexico win at the Pit, 81-70 San Diego State win at Viejas, to which I ask you, what do you think about over 142.5?
No, I like that. I like that because I think that New Mexico is going to be able to set their pace. The thing about, one of the things I also look at too is how the teams got here. I think San Diego State beat a team they would have lost to if they had one of their two best players in UNLV, and then they play a Utah State team. I looked at that game yesterday, Chip. Kind of liking the points, but man, San Diego State owns that team. They own them. Utah State won a close game this year at home against them, but San Diego State just has their number. So I think this is going to be a game where it's New Mexico's transition. They don't shoot a lot of threes, which is good. I think San Diego State likes you to take a bunch of threes. They crash the board. So I like the way that New Mexico matches up with this game, and I think they can get their pace going against them.
All right, my best bets here for the today here on this Saturday. We're going to start with Bulls on Parade. All right, we're going to go with South Florida, and we're going to lay the short number. You've got to go all the way back. These two teams only played one time, and when they did, it was a South Florida loss. But what has happened since then? Well, South Florida went and ran off 15 consecutive wins before dropping their regular season finale at Tulsa. And I think that 81-59 win by the Bulls against ECU in their debut was a statement. They know inside that locker room, their only path to the NCAA tournament is to win the automatic bid. And I think that against a UAB team that they respect, I think this is a little light. I think they win the game. So at 1.5, I will take South Florida. Also, we're going to go with St. Joe's. And this is where you just got to look up and you got to realize who the hot hand is. And the hot hand right now is Eric Reynolds, just dropping 30 points last time out. It's a game where, 73-69 VCU when they played earlier in Richmond. But VCU coming down the stretch heading into this tournament, a little stumbly, losing 3 straight. So with Reynolds coming off the 30 burger, I will take St. Joe's there. And finally to the Pac-12, yes, I will take Oregon. Give me the 2.5. Don't hate the money line, but I don't want to put that on you. I know you got your future at a very good price here for the Buffs, but the key for me is that going into last night's game against Arizona, I was like, all right, so a big factor here, especially going up against the size of Arizona, is going to be the absence of N'Faly Dante, the big man for Oregon. He comes back from injury against Arizona, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks. I mean, this guy is a difference maker on the inside, arguably one of Oregon's best players. So I think that they take all the juice from that win against Arizona, and I think they keep it rolling with Dante leading the way. Give me Oregon plus 2.5.
68-67 Colorado. Everybody wins.
Yes. See? There you go, Tom. That's how we get it home. All right. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Tom's got New Mexico plus 2.5 in the Mountain West Championship. I'm on South Florida in the American Athletic Conference semis. St. Joe's in the Atlantic 10 semis. That's minus 1.5 for the Bulls, plus 2.5 for St. Joe's. The Hawks, excuse me. And then Oregon plus 2.5 with that Pac-12 championship game going up against Colorado. We love everybody who comes to hang out and watch with us live. Oh, man, we do appreciate it. And we need to remind you that tomorrow is Selection Sunday, and you know what that means. Brackets. Join the Early Edge Bracket Challenge and compete against our cappers for prizes and bragging rights. First place takes home a year subscription to SportsLine. Link for the bracket pool is in the description. See terms and conditions for details. That's about all. One question. Let's see. New Mexico plus 1.5. So if the number is still playable, would you still take it?
Anything as a dog. I wouldn't be shocked if they closed as a small favorite. This line came out 2.5 last night and kind of sat there until early this morning. But I do think we'll see a little bit of movement on New Mexico. But if you can get them as an underdog, grab them.
Cool. Awesome. Love that, Giovanni. We appreciate you jumping in and offering it. And thanks to all of you for coming to hang out on the Saturday edition of the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. For Tom Casale, I'm Chip Patterson. Thanks so much.